Welcome back, everyone. We are in the part 2 of our study, the end times study of the timing of the Great Tribulation / the first resurrection study. So we just did part 1. If you haven't seen this video, please go to part 1 so you get some context. All right, our sister Sally just came here. All right, Sister Sally, we are in the recording right now, and we're doing the part 2. So we're going to start at Joel chapter 2, verse 1. That's going to be the first cross-reference, and we're going to get this started right away. Kind of didn't have much time on the first part, so kind of had to rush. All right, here we go. Joel chapter 2, verse 1. And it says, "Blow ye the ram's horn in Zion." The actual word there is supposed to be ram's horn, even though some translations will put trumpet. You can look it up in the Strong's Concordance. It actually says shofar in the Hebrew, should be ram's horn there. So, blow the ram's horn in Zion and sound an alarm in my set-apart mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of Yod-Heh-Uah, Yahuwah comes, for it is near at hand. And okay, so that's Joel chapter 2, verse 1. So this is a verse talking about the day of Yahuwah, the day of his wrath. So basically, that's where we're going to be transitioning into that right now. But we're also going to be staying with the tribulation. My next cross-reference we have is what signifies the tribulation before the day of Yahuwah. What actually lets us know the tribulation is about to happen. Okay, so we're going to go to Daniel 12:1. At that time, Michael shall stand up, the great prince, which stands for the children of your people. There shall be a time of trouble such as never has been. And actually, let me go to the Septuagint, because they actually worded it a little bit better. And at that time, Michael, the great prince, shall stand up, that stands over the children of your people. And there shall be a time of tribulation. Such tribulation has not been from the time that there was a nation on the earth until that time. At that time, your people shall be delivered, everyone that is written in the book. And now just a short comment here. The deliverance is not talking about the eternal salvation yet. It's actually talking about us being physically delivered, kind of like how Yahuwah took us out of Egypt with Masha. So it's kind of the same thing there. All right, so now the one to go with that, to give you some context, because you'd be like, well, how does this signify, the man of lawlessness and all that? I'll show you right here. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, we're going to start at verse 3. "Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of lawlessness be revealed, the son of destruction, who opposes and exalts himself all that is called mighty ones, or that is worshipped, that he as Yahuwah sits in the temple of Yahuwah, showing himself that he is Yahuwah." So basically, he is going to go into that third temple, sit on that throne, and claim that he's the Almighty. All right, and then it says, "Remember ye not that when I was with you, I told you these things?" So Paul actually told this assembly ahead of time that this was going to happen. This is like a reiteration. And now you know what withholds that he might be revealed in his time. Verse 7, "For the mystery of lawlessness does already work. Only he who now lets will let until he be taken out of the way." Now, this phrase is key. He be taken out of the way. Who's taken out of the way? Well, if you read Daniel 12:1, it's pretty, in my personal opinion, I'm going to make it clear, this is my opinion. I have no scripture to say it's verbatimly, I know for a fact it's Michael, but if you take 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 7 and Daniel 12:1, it's pretty clear who the restrainer is. So Michael is taken out of the way to gather us, as you'll see in other places in the book of Matthew, where it talks about that Yahusha sends his Malachim to gather his elect from the four winds of the earth. So I believe at this point in time, when the tribulation is starting, is when Michael has to get out of the way of the spirit of anti-Messiah. The restrainer has to be taken out of the way for the anti-Messiah to be revealed, if that makes any sense to our viewers. Just to kind of give you a foundation of why I linked those two cross-references together. So now we're going to go to the next cross-reference, Matthew 24:29. Yahusha signifies what comes right after the tribulation period right here. Immediately after the tribulation of those days. Now, Shoshana, do you want to say something? I can unmute you if you want. Oh, no. Okay.
Not at the present. That's okay. You keep going. You're doing great.
All right. So Matthew 24:29, just to reiterate, it says, for anyone that believes in the pre-trib here, listen to Yahushua's own words. These are not my words. Immediately after what? The tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heaven shall be shaken. All those signs he just told you about that comes after tribulation are signifying the day of Yahuwah. In verse 29 here, this is literally telling you that the day of Yahuwah is happening right after the tribulation. So that's why I put that into this study. Now we're going to transition into the next portion, which deals with the first resurrection after the day of Yahuwah. So we are going to go to 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verses 16 down to 18. And actually, you know what? I'll start at verse 13, actually, just to give you some context. But I would not have you to be ignorant, brothers, concerning them which are asleep, meaning the dead in Messiah, that you do not be sorrowful, even as others which have no hope. He's talking about those of the world, those that are not part of Yashua, that are not believers. For if we believe that Yahushua died and rose again, even so them also which sleep in Yahushua will Yahuwah bring with him. For this we say unto you, by the word of Yahuwah, that we which are alive and remain unto the coming of the Master shall not prevent them which are asleep. For Yahushua himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, the voice of Michael, and with the trump of Yahuwah, and the dead in the Messiah shall rise first. Verse 17, then we which are alive and remain, what are we remaining from? Tribulation, shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Master in the air. And so shall we ever be with the Master, meaning being with Yahushua. Being with, probably actually it's referring to Yahuwah here actually, but still, same thing. So basically we're going to be with the Father and Son always. So basically this is happening immediately after the tribulation. Actually, I have to correct myself. This is probably happening before the day of Yahuwah. So let me just correct myself about that. This is happening before the day of Yahuwah. The catching away, all that is happening before the day of Yahuwah. So
yeah, I just want to add one little bitty thing here, that when the dead rise, they will first rise to physical life, so that they and us will be caught up together.
mm-hmm.
That's the only way it makes sense. They rise first to physical life, and then we who are still living are caught up with them. We're all together in this whole thing, in the spiritual resurrection.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I wanted to say right there.
Yep. All right. And let's see here. So the next cross-reference we're going to go into is Revelations 20. We're going to go we're going to start at verses 4 and go all the way down to verse 10. So we're going to start at Revelations 20, verse 4. And see here.
Could you start on Revelation 14 before you get to
okay.
Revelation 20? I think it would make more sense to the viewers.
All right. Okay. And I looked, and lo, and a lamb stood on Mount Zion, with him 144,000, having his Father's name written in their foreheads. And I heard a voice from heaven as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps. And they sung, as it were, a new song before the throne and before the four beasts and the elders. And no man could learn that song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth. So again, this is a special group. This is the 144,000, which we read about earlier in chapter 7. These are they which were not defiled with women, for they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb wheresoever he goes. These were redeemed from men, being the first fruits unto Yahuwah and to the Lamb. And in their mouth was found no guile. Basically, no lie was found in them. For they are without fault or blameless before the throne of Yahuwah. So that was Revelations 14, 1-6. We're also going to go down to verse 12, verse 13 here. Here is the patience, verse 12. Here is the patience and set apart ones. Here are they that keep the instructions, the commandments of Yahuwah, and the belief of Yahusha. And I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, Write, Baraked are the dead which die in the Master from hereforth. Yea, says the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors, and their works do follow them. Okay, so that was Revelations 14, verses 1-6, verses 12, and verses 13. So this chapter is dealing with the 144,000 that are first mentioned in Revelation 7. So it gives you more of a context of who they actually are. So now we're going to go to Revelations chapter 20, verse 4. And we're going to start here, and it says, I saw thrones, and they that sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the lives of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yahusha, and for the word of Yahuwah, which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands. They lived and reigned with Messiah 1,000 years. Now, this sounds like some of the 144,000 might be martyrs. So I might have to be corrected in my understanding of who the martyrs are. Because it sounds like if they're ruling and reigning with Messiah for 1,000 years, that seems like that's pretty much, that would be the greater in the kingdom. That wouldn't be another group.
Yes, Doug. Yes, Doug, there are martyrs. Remember, they're the ones who said that how long will you wait until you redeem us?
Mm-hmm.
How long, O Yahuwah, Kodesh and true, until you judge and avenge our blood on those who dwell on the earth? And so we know that there are martyrs in this age too, but the ones that are part of the 144,000 are actually part of that group that was killed. They were only the dead ones, the ones that were killed. You got it?
Yeah. Okay, that kind of makes sense. All right. Verse 5, but the rest of the dead lived not again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection. So verse 5 tells you that this was the first resurrection that at this point. So there's two resurrections. The second resurrection hasn't happened yet in this context. So this is still future also. The first resurrection hasn't happened yet either. But this just shows you there's two different resurrections. So now we're going to go to verse 6. Baraked and set apart is he that has part in the first resurrection. On such the second death has no power, but they shall be priests of Yahuwah and of Messiah and shall reign with him 1,000 years. So the people that have part in the first resurrection are the ones that are reigning with him in the millennial. So, and then as we go forward here, and when the 1,000 years are expired, when the millennial is over, Hashatan, Gadriel, shall be loosed out of his prison. So Hashatan's actually chained up in Tartarus with the other watchers, if you're familiar with the book of Enoch. He's down there with them for 1,000 years during the millennial. He's put down there during the millennial. Then he's loosed out in verse 7 after the 1,000 years are over. And he shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. And they went up on the breadth of the earth and compassed or surrounded the camp of the set apart ones about and the beloved city, and fire came down from Yahuwah out of heaven and devoured them. And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, and where the beast and false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. Just for a little confusion, we have been misled by, the Christian church having this tradition of the Battle of Armageddon, when the anti-Messiah is on earth, that the Battle of Armageddon happens then. The thing is, the Battle of Armageddon is just a man-made title. There's two battles of the end. There's one battle that happens before the millennial, which that's what the false prophet and the beast, the anti-Messiah, get thrown into the lake of fire. Then you have the battle of the very battle of the end, which Revelations 29-10 is talking about, when Hashatan, Gadriel, the devil, is thrown into the lake of fire.
Yeah, it's a different end.
Yes.
It's toward the end of the 1,000-year reign.
All right. So Sadie said at the start of Revelation 20 and muted. Okay, let me read that again then for Sadie. Okay, and I saw an angel come down from heaven having the key. Oh, actually, no, I'm not reading the whole thing. All right, so Revelations 24 is when I started. And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the lives of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yahusha and the word of Yahuwah, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or their hands. And they lived and reigned with Messiah 1,000 years. But the rest of the dead lived not again until 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection. Baraked and set apart is he that has part in the first resurrection. On such the death has no power, but they shall be priests of Yahuwah and Messiah, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. So hopefully Sadie be able to hear it there.
Yes, that was better. I don't know if everybody else heard it, but I was trying to wave and text you and all, and we couldn't get through.
Oh, thank you for letting me know. All right.
Okay.
So basically, yeah, so I agree with Shoshana. That's a different set of people, the martyrs. It actually sounds like these are people, this is where it gets really controversial, because I go back and forth to who's the martyrs being talking about. Is this talking about people that had to go through the tribulation and became believers? Because it says that they did not worship the beast, neither his image, neither received his mark upon their foreheads. So I wonder if this is a different group in the body of Messiah that were martyrs, or they could have been believers that became believers in the tribulation period, which is like a traditional belief in the Christian church, that there's going to be people that are atheists that become believers in Yahusha and reject the anti-Messiah in the end times. So that was just into my head.
How about the boys or the men that were beheaded in Afghanistan? Where was it now? On the beachfront. Remember that?
Yeah, that was I forget. I think in America it's happening a lot. There was a lot of places in America where they would actually were actually filming the beheading. ISIS was actually
ISIS was filming the beheaded of I think it was 20 men, wasn't it, or was it 40?
Yeah, there was a lot. I don't know the total. There was probably hundreds, because there was multiple locations where that was happening, multiple events of that happening. It wasn't just once.
Yes, they wouldn't deny.
Remember that it's those who are beheaded that are keeping the commandments of Yahuwah and have the testimony of Yahushua HaMashiach. And I'm not sure if these men did.
Well, I think it applies.
They're part of it.
I think it applies to all believers. I wouldn't be limiting it to people that are just keeping Torah or anything, because there's people that believe in Yahushua that don't know to keep. I
agree.
That are going to be beheaded. So,
but you just read in the scriptures where it said that the Kadashim, the set apart ones, are those
but the
commandments of Yahuwah and have the belief of Yahusha.
But that's not the whole body of Messiah. That's speaking.
That's the Kadashim.
The Kadashim is not the whole Messiah.
Sorry, it's 144,000 which are redeemed from the earth as first fruits. So it is all the first fruits that have the belief of Yahusha and keep the commandments or guard the commandments of Yahuwah.
Yeah, all I'm saying is this verse doesn't really say who the martyrs are. So it could be any believers. It could be anyone being beheaded, because there's nowhere does it say that that it was of the 144,000 that's happening to. In verse 4 it just says that
There's only 144,000 in the first resurrection.
Yeah, but it says that they would have had to be in the tribulation period, though. They would have had to go through the tribulation.
Let's agree to disagree on that and continue the study.
All right, I'm just saying, it says it right there in verse 4. They refuse the mark of the beast. If you're part of the 144,000, we're in the wilderness. So, that's why I'm trying to say that. That's all I'm saying. All right, so Revelations chapter 6 last, and says, and I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard as it were the noise of the thunder, and one of the four beasts saying, come and see. And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering to conquer. Now I believe this is representing the anti-Messiah in verse 2, which I believe most people are starting to realize that was, still is, Nimrod, as the anti-Messiah, the anti-Messiah of the end times. And when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, come and see, or sometimes it will say the second living creature. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that he sat thereon to take peace from the earth, that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. And when he opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. And we had opened seal, I heard the voice of the four beasts say, come and see. And I looked, and the green horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and Sheol followed with him, and power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. And when he had opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the lives of them that were slain for the word of Yahuwah and for the testimony which they held. And they cried a loud voice, saying, how long, O Yahuwah, set apart and true, do you judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth? And white robes were given unto every one of them, and it said unto them that they should rest yet for a little season, until their fellow servants also and brethren that should be killed as they were should be fulfilled. And beheld, when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. So this is signifying the day of Yahuwah. So you have the martyrs crying out to Yahuwah, and then proceeding after the Great Tribulation, you have the day of Yahuwah signified by the same signs that Yahusha gave in Matthew 24:29. So the moon becoming as blood in verse 12 of Revelation 6. And the stars of heaven fell into earth. So the heavens receding like a scroll. And even as a fig tree casts her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. And heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their place. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man, hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sits on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. So, for the great day of his wrath is coming, who shall be able to stand? So the end of Revelation 6 is the fact that you have basically the day of Yahuwah happening towards the end of this chapter. And so what happens before that, early in the chapter, you have specific martyrs that were killed for the witness of Yahusha, crying out to Yahuwah, and Yahuwah tells them that more of their brothers in the belief are going to be killed. So, and that after that, you're going to have the signs in the heavens that are going to signify the day of Yahuwah, and then you have the day of Yahuwah for the rest of the chapter. So that's the last cross-reference I have. I don't know if anyone else wants to add anything. So that's the last one I have. That was Revelation 6, 1-17.
I'm good.
Okay. All right. Just want to thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Hopefully you got something out of this study. Hopefully this study, encourage you to study the end times if you're already a believer. Hopefully this will encourage you to really study into stuff and be prayerful and watchful. And the whole purpose of this study is to really focus on that we should be aiming to be part of that special group within the body of Yahusha. That's really the main focal point in this study, is that you shouldn't just be content with being a normal believer, because a normal believer, there's going to be a lot of those that are just part of the body of Messiah that probably are going to go through the tribulation, and that there's only going to be a really main group within the body of Messiah that's going to be protected in the wilderness. So there's going to be a lot of other believers out in the world still that are going to be there when the anti-Messiah is revealed. So this should encourage you to want to be greater, not lesser in the kingdom, if that makes any sense. That should be encouraging you. If you're not a believer, we all hope and pray today that you would accept Yahusha as your personal Savior, not just your Savior, but your Master, the Master of your life. And Yahuwah, the Master of your life. The Father, of course, be the Master of his Son. So Yahuwah above all is the Master of your life. But I just want to pray today that you accept his Son, and you accept the free gift of salvation that will be given to you if you hold to the end. If you endure to the end, you shall be saved, just like the rest of us that trust in Yahusha and trust in the Father Yahuwah. So I pray that wholeheartedly today, and thank you for joining us. This is Brother Doug signing off with the rest of my brothers and sisters, Sister Shoshana, my sister Sadie, Brother Dennis, Sister Sally, and I'll unmute her right now. Sorry. Let's see here. So anything else, guys?
Well, say thank you and shalom from Cypress, California. Thank you for the study.
Thank you, Doug.
Shalom from
Appreciate
Georgia.
Shalom. Please reach out to us. We are on Facebook. We have our own Facebook page, Awakened by Yahuwah, Assembly in Yahuwah and Yahusha Messiah. So please reach out to us. Reach out to the Lost for the Sheep Facebook page. You can find that. It's all one word, Lost for the Sheep.
For the lost sheep.
For the lostsheep.com. The number 4, thelostsheep.com, one word. All right, so you can find us there. You can reach out to us on Facebook. We all have Facebook profiles and stuff like that. So if you need fellowship, please reach out to any one of us. Thank you for joining us today. Shalom.
Shalom.
You spelling Yahuwah?
Yeah.
How are you spelling Yahuwah, brother?
Yep.
How are you spelling it?
Oh, how do I spell it? Well, Y-A-H-U-A-H. Like, just same way it's phonetically pronounced.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. And thank you for our viewers that joined today. Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom.